Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November 1st, 2022 meeting of the Cheltenham High School District Facilities Committee. I'll start with a roll call. Ms. Henry.
Present.
Mr. Schultz.
Present.
Mr. Epps. Present. Ms. Lohman.
Here.
Ms. Mulhern.
Here.
Ms. Haywood.
Present.
Mr. Fishbine is not present. Mr. Cohen.
Present.
And I am also present. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from our June 7th meeting?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. That passes. And that said, we will turn over to Mr. Coleman for presentation. Looks like we have 5 items to discuss for the day. Floor is all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Burdell-Williams. Glad to see you all. Glad to be back. And
Let's make an adjustment. I think you can find room at the table.
I promise I don't bite if you wanted to say
So far away
that.
for me. Okay, all right. Dr. Mixon, for clarification. Absolutely.
Welcome back.
thank you.
Good to have you back. You gotta do all the work now that you're at the table.
All right. Good evening, all. I would like to welcome you all to the first meeting. Here is our mission statement, as you all know it very well. And we're going to get into it. In June, the high school sustained major damage from a classroom fire, but thanks to the quick response of Cheltenham Township's fire departments, the major loss was confined to 1 classroom. However, there was substantial smoke and water damage to the new wing of the building that has all been restored with the help of our insurance company. This is some before and after pictures of the affected areas. Here is a picture of our domestic water system at the high school. It shows the deficiencies in the system, but now that has all been repaired, and so now we have redundancy in our systems if we were to lose a water heater or have problems with the water heater. So we have 2 water heaters, and that is this adds to our redundancy. So we don't have to scramble and at the to get repairs made. So all right, let's see. This is Myers Playground, and I know some of you are familiar with it, if not all. It's in bad shape. Myers Playground is receiving a new rubber flooring over the Thanksgiving break. This playground rubber is original to the renovation that was completed in 2008. The total cost for this project is $50,998. This is a CoStarz render. As you can see, this was way overdone. The custodial team had a focus on floor care this summer. They removed an estimated 100 coats of finish from terrazzo at the high school. As you visit this district, hopefully you will notice the shine. So that's another picture, the new wing. This is our work order system. School do, as you all know. Sorry, I can't zoom in on it, but what the next screen shows is the monthly work order counts. Now that's the average monthly work order on the first column, and then the second column is the work orders for this October. So as you can see, we're pretty much on pace for the average, except for Elkins Park School and Myers Elementary. We have, and also Cheltenham High School. We have some issues there we have to look into. But other than that, we're on point. As a district, we're on point for that. So we'll be diving into the issues that you see on the screen later on this week. So with that, I'd like to conclude, and thank you.
I'm just gonna interject real quick with respect to the school dude. It's nice to have Mr. Swigert on the team now because he really is the buffer now between me and facilities. Prior to that, Mr. Holman was directly reporting to me while we had Chuck Linderman in the interim position. We've identified, and this is a big one, I know from Mr. Burdell-Williams, but for the board as a whole, we have a system right now, but we're not using it to its fullest potential. And we have scheduled a training opportunity for the leaders in facility for Mr. Swigert to really understand the intricacies of the reports that School Dude supplies and start to do some assessments around the manpower within the district and where we're having gaps. So we're hoping that as we, as we progress through this year, there'll be more robust reports around School Dude and its full capabilities. So I wanted to just say that because that's been a rub of mine. Being a former chief, I understand School Dude and how we used it in my prior district, and we're not where we need to be at this current time. So we're taking corrective measures. So just wanted to give you that caveat. Any questions?
Thank you for that. I was just going to say, any board questions?
Appreciate the update. Certainly, second, third, whatever it is. Welcome, welcome back. Yeah, certainly good to see you in the flesh as well. Not even to be in Zoom, so that's all right. Yeah. Question with the playground restoration. Happy to see it happening. Is that project subject to bid?
It is not because it's co-stars.
Okay, that's what you were mentioning with CoStar. Okay, gotcha.
So the co-stars is a pre-bid.
Yeah, okay, I think that is already pre-approved.
Any other board questions before I go to the community?
Actually, I have a follow-up to that because we talked about this before. There are certain conditions that you can still place on like your searches with CoStar. Like there's still like a search capability that you're doing with vendors.
As far as
When you're searching through the approved vendors, I recall there being some discussion you can still add like certain criteria that you want to see, like filters, essentially. You can add filters for what you want to see.
There's a whole database, and it's almost like the state puts out a book. Like these are all the products and supplies that everybody's gonna bid on, and they bid on the specific playground films. A lot of districts, a lot of township municipalities will do this for their playgrounds. So we can search that phone book, if you will, of all these different services and supplies, and then you can pick, and they're all pre-bid, they're all bid out.
Yeah,
Multi-year contracts.
that's good to hear. And I'll just be really pointed. In our previous conversation, we were talking about like notification and identification for like women, minority-owned businesses. And so with CoStar, that's a way of like, a way of adding filters. I remember it was like you could add filters and things like that. And so one, I'll just highlight. I know that the district, that's a part of its, that's a part of what you're searching for in terms of diversity with our vendors and so forth. Essentially, I'm thinking with CoStar, essentially how is that already baked into the process? Like, where they're going to highlight? Are they already highlighting women and minority-owned businesses, or is that something that you would then have to go search for yourself?
that I do not, quite honest, I don't know, only because we're going with the company we've already used in the past. We like what they like the product, we like how they do things and how they come back and support the district with whatever was not done properly. So when playgrounds are tricky because we don't want somebody getting hurt. It's taking long enough, so we want somebody that's going to stand behind what they give us.
So what we can do is just give an update on CoStar and how it operates.
That's a
It may be good though, because it's a valid question, and something that we can definitely take a look at. I know that we have individuals that have been in the business for a lot of years with both Mr. Holman and Mr. Swaggart in terms of previous districts. So a lot of times with co-stars, to their point, you're going by reputation, which means a lot. And I know there'll be some questions from the public that I'll put a pin in, which will give further examples of where that plays out.
So a general explanation is not needed. It's really like, because of how, and this goes back to our last conversation, because of I think how the policy in AR is written, it's like we'll take every opportunity when necessary to then go and look for opportunities to work with, you know, men and women, I keep saying, minority and women-owned business. And so with it sounds like with CoStar, you just, that's what I was saying, are there filters you just can apply certain things? It sounds like we would have to go an extra step. Reputation, it makes business sense, right? To continue with businesses that you have to really have. I get that. But when there are opportunities to go out and look, it sounds like we would have to actually do something within the CoStar system to highlight.
But I want to clarify that for you, because I don't like nothing.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I get it. But that's really my interest. not
That's
just
fine.
General.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay,
And, you know, if you remember in my first arrived on at Cheltenham, I worked in a company called what's the name of it?
It was like Pink Lady or something.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, so, you know, we, you know, I do my due diligence and search those, but in the areas where I have a question with, I do tend to go with a company that we have a relationship with.
Yeah.
Right? That's only, like you said, it makes good sense. So
Sometimes that might be a minority.
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Mhm.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Holman. From a safety perspective for the Myers Elementary playground, do we do kind of routine reviews of kind of the play areas, or is that just kind of something for the
You know, we do reviews, and that just fell through the cracks. You know, before I left, we started working on that before I went out. And when I leave, it was just one of those things that just took this much time to get resolved. So we definitely we do routine reviews of the areas.
Just a question about this, and I know you all will be working on the data reports. One thing that might be helpful is also showing sort of the denominator of this. So not just what was completed, but how many were opened, because that could tell part of the narrative of, you know, maybe Cheltenham High School only had 60 open, so 57 is almost 100% completion. And without that, it's hard to know how we're performing.
Well, that's the average that's a 10-month average over the course of 10 months.
So for October, for example, seeing 57 work orders completed, is that because their October, for some miraculous reason, had far fewer opened, or was it in line with the average? I kind of assume it's in line with the average, but seeing that number would help.
Again, like you said, we're going to be digging into this to figure out where we're at with it. You know, again, earlier, when I first came, my point was, how are we using school? You know, are we using it correctly? Is it showing? Are we using it to its potential? But Mrs. Weiber here now, so we're going to dig into this and figure out how to do it.
And there's one thing with it, Mr. Schultz. School creates its own reports, so we don't even have to make the report. So that's why I said what I said up front, and then you will be able to clearly see itemization based on the reports that are generated.
I think the big takeaway from this is just the number of monthly work orders for our older buildings. Cheltenham High School, Evans Park, the admin building for what it's worth, and then Cheltenham Elementary mysteriously is high number. We're trying to tie our resources with our aging resources, and demonstrating that need for improvement.
Thank you.
2
Sure,
seconds,
Molly.
just, I happened to be at EP when Mr. Holman was there the other day, and it was just nice to see each other in person and see him, he had a team with him, checking on some things, and we had a few minutes to chat, so it's great to see him in action again.
It's a great day back. It's just one of those things where I couldn't wait to get back. So thank you for all the calls and prayers. I really do appreciate it. Really, truly do. So.
We kept walking past your office. We're happy to have, that was really just a joke. We give them one page.
I really appreciate it. It's good to be back. Really is.
Or any additional board questions? All right, send it over to the community. I'm not sure if we have anyone attending via Zoom. I know we have a number of folks in the room. If you do have any questions, just prior to your questions, please state your name and your affiliation with the school district, basically where you live in the township. And if you do have any questions, please do. We do well with raising hands, even though sometimes we go out of order.
I'm trying to remember all the questions I'm supposed to ask. I'm Tony Uzel, I live in the Lava Rock section, and have children in high school, middle school, and elementary school. I'm trying to interpret this data. I know you asked the question. You might as well not have that data for what it shows, and I think that may be what
It is the point.
if you have no, I mean, like, as a taxpayer, I would love to see the data that you were asking for behind this, because it would help us fill in a lot of gaps as taxpayers as to what's going on in the district. So I guess I don't have a question because they asked the question already. You definitely would like to see it.
Sure.
Michael Brooks, students at Elkins Park, well, at goodness gracious, at the high school and also at Cedar Brook. When it comes to this work order, just from a suggestion standpoint, is there a priority matrix that goes along with it to go along with the monthly averages? Even if you don't want to disclose the total financial cost of each work order, but are they segmented out into priorities versus what area of the work order? Because the concept of just work order can mean somebody. It can be somebody saying, "Oh, we want this printer fixed," versus a big project, and that kind of adds a little context because right now it's designed in a way to give glory to the monthly amount being taken care of, and we don't know what that represents.
Moving forward,
Yes,
we'll make sure that we reflect.
thank you.
There is a way in the system you identify as high priority, low priority,
Right.
and then this is just what was completed.
Thank you. Any additional questions?
So are we asking just questions based on what we just talked about now, or is that the entire?
Yeah, if there aren't any other questions on the content that was presented tonight, then yes, we can take some additional questions.
Oh, okay. So you will know my questions about the football field and the high school. So I just want to make sure I have this documented correctly. For Myers Playground, that restoration is $50,000, basically $51,000 for the rubber floor for the playground that was last done in 2008. Does anyone know the last time the football field was leveled out or anything was done to the field to update it?
No, so I'll field that question. So I played on that field in 1983.
Okay.
And it looks like the same field that I played on. in
Yeah, and the middle bleachers are the same bleachers that were there in 1972.
Without a doubt. So, what I've done thus far, because first of all, we have to put together a presentation that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
If you look on our web, which I'm sure you have, you will find that, and she can correct me on the year, but I believe it was 2014, 2015. There was an architect that came out and did a presentation where we were looking at trying the district was trying to do a joint venture with Arcadia. And in that presentation, it gives a very detailed mock-up of what that facility could look like.
Okay.
We just met with that individual this week. I do have a copy of the presentation. He's going to make some tweaks, and I meet with Dr. Nair every month, who's the president of Arcadia. So my next steps are really having some dialogue with him, because they've already taken some corrective measures in terms of creating athletic spaces for the university. So I need to see, is that concept even relevant? If not, it would require the architect to tweak to make that proposal relevant for Cheltenham School District as a standalone. Additionally, I had an opportunity to meet with Senator Haywood. I try to meet with him monthly now, which is something that I felt was important that I needed to do. And he facilitated a meeting with the Appropriations Committee from the state. So I had an opportunity to meet with Senator Hughes. And they will circle back because it was about funding, right? And some of these large projects that we have. I'll be very transparent with you. The football field, even though it's a high priority, it's not my first priority. The first priority right now is really air conditioning at the high school. And we know that the infrastructure is such where it's going to be significantly a lot higher than what we initially thought, because you just can't put in new AC without upgrading everything which supports it. Right. So potentially AC alone, we could be looking anywhere from $15 to $20 million to upgrade AC. Yeah, that's what I said. In terms of some of the specs around an athletic facility, I'm not just trying to touch football in isolation, because there's multiple teams that are represented at the school. Is something we may have to look at a phase-in approach, but ballpark, probably looking easily around 6 to 8 mil to touch multiple projects. As I move forward and as I have these solid presentations and know what the actual dollar amount will be, is going to be really establishing a task force or a committee, because I'm not going to be able to attack the financial cost alone, right? I have to work in conjunction with the board, get approval on certain proposals, and they'll really see what investors are out there who are willing to assist, and I'll have a better understanding from the appropriations committee what monies, what grants are available. So those are the next steps, and some of the actions that we've taken since the last meeting. And please continue to come, because I'm going to continue to push to figure out what it is that we need to do. While I'm on that note, we're continuing to wait for our demographic study, which is really going to address what our projected enrollment is going to be moving down the line. Cheltenham High School is the priority, but I have to figure out also in conjunction with that, what are we going to do with Elkins Park? And I can't make those determinations until I know what options I have based on the numbers moving forward in the district. If our enrollment is declining over the years, is there a way to reconfigure our current construct and do things a little differently? So these are going to be some heavy conversations that we're going to have as a board and also as a community with what our next steps would look like moving forward. So I hope that answers. That's just a snapshot of where we currently are.
Okay, I have one more question.
Sure.
In reference to the air conditioning. I
Yeah.
know that the first meeting I attended, I think that was back in September. I mentioned that there was a grant available. I know I mentioned Archbishop Wood was able to get a grant for air conditioning in their high school, which was a non-public school grant. but the public school grant that's out there is called the American Rescue Plan for elementary and secondary schools. So I'm not sure if that's something that has been looked into, but that is a grant that is out there that could possibly help, or if not cover, the air conditioning that would go into the high school.
Yeah, we actually have access to that grant.
Okay,
We do have monies from that grant that are allotted, but it's
okay,
in the bucket in comparison to
I
what
got you.
the overall cost would be. But no, I thank you for
Okay,
bringing solutions to the table. That's always good.
okay.
I just want to affirm that we're fully aware and
Okay.
tapped into that. So
Thank you.
if you get any others,
I'll let you know.
please let me know.
I'll keep digging.
All right.
Thank you.
I do have one additional question, or actually statement, I guess. I consider myself to be somewhat boots on the ground for things that are occurring, listening to parents talk. I have 5 kids that have, one has graduated, but all of them have gone K through, and they're going through 12. So I have I hear a lot of talk. Let me just put it that way. Being at, for instance, Cedarbrook, what I'm noticing, and I want to make sure I call it to your attention, is that we are losing academic and athletic talent coming up through the ranks. They leave the district after 8th grade because of the high school. So I want to make sure everyone keeps that, because I know in my mind, I think I hear a football field. I'm like, are you crazy? Man, put some grass out there. Yeah, but you had a 3-star quarterback break his leg this year. You had 2 track stars tear ligaments in their knees last year because of the football field. That's the reason why you lose talent, both academic and athletic, coming from Cedarbrook. So I just wanted to put that out there. I got a feeling you can kind of appreciate that. I want to paint that picture for the rest of you.
And it's even deeper than that from my perspective. I definitely received that. It's more so when I look at all of the other facilities in Montgomery County, and I look at ours, and knowing that we are a district which is majority minority, what message are we sending, right? So that's even the bigger optic for me. That is why I'm trying to figure this out so aggressively. But you have to be strategic in terms of how you approach these matters. So I'll be reaching out to everyone that's on that side once we formulate a committee and we have a path forward. Okay.
We're here.
Well, I recognize.
We have more.
We have more.
Yep, go ahead.
No, he's out, his wife. Just to your point, Dr. Scriven, about the way people see us. The coach did hear referees in the hallway talking about how they hate coming here. They don't like it. They don't like the facilities, and I do believe that might be one of the reasons that, if the referees don't like being here and they resent us for how we treat them because they don't have certain things that could play out on the field. And football's not the only people who use that field also. So that's kids, soccer uses that field, right? So it does affect other sports besides football. So I want to say that. The other thing, have you looked at some alumni? Because I know in the past, some alumni have offered to help, but I don't know if it's been.
I'm not there yet.
Okay. But Rothman, like somebody had contacted him before?
Without a doubt. That man, that, so let's be transparent. I don't want to eat a lot of time. We're going to have to come up with a plan. And in that plan, there's different pieces such as the outreach that will be necessary. And I'm gonna leave it at that for right now.
That's fine, but I just want you to know that Rothman was contacted before by the association president. And he was like, what do you need?
Without a doubt.
And it was passed on, but I don't think it went.
No, that's part of why we are what we
All
are.
right.
Mhm.
Okay.
No, I thank you for that.
Just to follow up, Dr. Smith, I know that we're waiting for the demographic study and the larger kind of strategic piece of this, putting together a facilities plan, which will prioritize the needs and, you know, the steps that we'll take. Do we have a sense of when we'll have that in place? Because that's really going to drive kind of the planning long term.
Yeah, we actually have a facilities plan that was conducted, was that 2017?
2020.
2020, that we can share with the board, which is by building, which shows the general maintenance that needs to occur on a yearly basis for all of our facilities. And because a lot of that has not been addressed, we're even further behind than what that report will actually highlights. But yeah, but we can share that without a doubt. And that's why we're trying to beef up our capital improvement funds right now. But to address some of these issues outside of just that norm, it's going to take additional resources that currently we don't have. If you don't mind, and I know you have a full report, but when you look at our income to debt ratio right now, and I can just share, I think in our current state, what are we, maybe 12 million that we could allot to any type of major projects right now?
That's reasonable.
Yeah, so right now, just on paper where we stand in terms of liquid asset, 12 million would take us to our limit. And we have to find other means beyond what we have internally. So, yeah.
I was just saying, we have liquid cash, we have debt capacity, but we don't have enough of both to take care of every issue with Elkins Park and the high school and the stadium that exists. It's gonna take some prioritizing and some scope defining to figure out exactly what we should do and what we're gonna do forward. And that report identifies nicely what's wrong, but it doesn't help decide what should we do going forward to address them.
One second, go ahead, Mr. Schultz.
And then just for some context, because I think that report was done before any of your tenure, I think the current administration of this table's tenure. At least from my memory and perspective, that report was intended as a first step to, it didn't prioritize, it laid out what the problems were, and then that would need to then be picked up and turned into an actual plan which prioritizes, and then COVID hit. I think it's really what happened there. Hopefully that's still relevant, but I think Ms. Haywood's question about this turning that into a strategic plan is still relevant beyond just that report, from my perspective.
We did have preliminary conversations, and then the conversations evolved to air filtration in buildings and splash guard.
Right.
So yes, yeah, you're correct. And we do have that facilities condition assessment. That is definitely, it's a great resource, honestly. We put a lot into it. There's a lot that we can glean from it as well. To your question,
Michael Brooks, when you mentioned the 12 million, is that 12 million designed to be spent fiscal year? Or is that kind of like money to have? You want to leave 25% in there to carry over to the next fiscal year? How does, and how does, from a 12 million liquid perspective, how does the funds coming in are expected? So when I hear 12 million, I don't hear a lot of money. I hear we're going into the red really quickly. So what are there avenues that kind of put some money into reserves to kind of cushion that? Or is it, we're going to spend this 12 million and cross our fingers and hope the tax revenue that comes in kind of fill up the back cupboards?
Right now, we're not even trying to touch the 12 million.
That's what, okay.
Until we have a comprehensive plan with how to move forward. I'm one, you'll find with my leadership, I'm very transparent.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I put that out there.
No, right.
So that as a community, as a board, you can understand the big picture of what we're really dealing with. It's complex.
I definitely understood when you said it, But when you say 12 million and you leave it out there for those that are listening that are not financially savvy, they can get the wrong impression. So I want to make sure that you're insulated.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
no problem.
We'll talk later.
No problem.
So it looks like we do have a couple questions. We have one raised hand. It looks like, so Michelle, if I'm correct, you are the same individual who has your hand raised. I'd like to provide you the opportunity to get unmuted and to address us directly. I can definitely see that you've written something, but I'd like to give you the opportunity to speak to the floor here and everyone in the room. So you should be able to unmute yourself at this point in time. And just when you unmute yourself, please share your name and your affiliation with the district, please.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Rochelle Martinez. I am a resident of Laverack. I guess the question was already raised. The question related to facility upgrades specifically for our student athlete facilities at high school level. I think a follow-on question that I'd like to ask, I mean, we can maybe address it some other time if there needs to be more thought put to it. It would be good for us as parents. There are several of us listening I'm sorry, I have kids in the background. Just to hear from you all, what are some concrete steps that we can kind of help to, I guess, lobby or to advocate in the meantime to kind of get this, you know, on a priority level, or get this concern that we have raised to a level where we can start to see dollars maybe earmarked. And I understand that there's a hierarchy of priorities, I get it. But, you know, we're seeing the impact of the deteriorated state of, you know, the facilities that our children use, and it does create challenges for them in the immediate. And of course, I know, like Mr. Ezell said, you know, with kids coming through the pipeline, you know, we lose great talent as a result. So, you know, if anyone is able to kind of touch upon some concrete steps that we as parents can kind of can take to really help to build momentum around the issue. I had mentioned a few, like, you know, we reach out to Arcadia leadership and maybe have a town hall. Should we, you know, send letters to Representative Haywood? What things can we do as, you know, concrete measures forward? And I'll mute myself because I don't want to ramble on. But thank you.
So Rochelle, I'm not sure if you had heard me earlier. Some of those steps have already been taken. I'm in a holding pattern right now while I wait to get feedback. I have a parent contingency here. Please feel free to email me as well. I think that a next step for me would be to hold a meeting with some of the parents to really assess what the wants and needs are, and just keep you updated as we move forward. So I hear you loud and clear, and want to pull as many in who want to be a part of the process.
Absolutely. Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Do you have another
For our virtual attendees, any other comment or question from the room?
I'm sorry, no, I didn't. So I'm Taryn, not gonna go into it. I didn't announce it the first time. I apologize. I just want to make sure for the high school, we were moved to a 6A class school. And I don't know if that's being evaluated within the facility and how we're updating things. I know coming, I didn't understand what 5A, 4, 5, 6A meant, but I was told that was based off of the number of students. Male students is specific that we have in terms of our team. So now that we've been moved to 6A, our facility does not at all meet. If you look at other 6A schools, it's like night and day to what our facilities look like compared to theirs. So is that something that's being considered in priority to how we're updating or the timeline of updating because we've been moved to the 6A class?
Timeline is going to be contingent upon funding.
Okay.
So you're talking to an ex-athlete, high school and college. You're talking to an ex-coach. I get it. Look at our track program. We would love to host PIAA, right?
Right.
You need to have 8 lanes to do that. We have 6. So we'll get in all of that. As we establish a relationship, you'll understand that
Okay,
I know where we need to go.
okay,
It's a matter of having your support and the resources to move us.
gotcha.
Okay?
Thank you.
I'm trying not to, I have a chair.
So I think I'm piggybacking off of Ms. Haywood's question. You have the data, so you said in 2020, I guess the data showed where everything needed to be done, but nothing was prioritized. So you have to do the next step, right? You're at that point where you have to prioritize it and come up with a strategy. Do you have a timeline on when that next step will be completed?
So I wanna, let me just clarify a couple things around the data.
All right,
So the data is specifically only dealing with the physical school structures.
okay.
The data is not addressing any of the extenuating conditions that are being referenced here tonight. Yes.
Okay.
In terms of timeline, timeline is now. That's why I'm able to give updates, because it's a priority for me now. As we collectively build a plan, you'll be a part of setting that timeline as we move forward. And that's the purpose of a plan and being collaborative. I will guide and facilitate, but I need buy-in, I need collaboration. You don't do this in isolation, okay? Thank you for the question.
Any additional questions?
Just a note that appreciate
Michael Brooks.
Mr. Brooks, this point earlier about what goes into that prioritization for folks who are here and active may hear it as part of it. It may already be part of the plan, but if we could have just a simple way of describing those considerations, so that when anyone goes to look at that plan, they have a way of understanding, okay, this is how they got to these priorities as well.
So I think it would behoove us, rather than even try to, that's gonna cause more confusion. So, in terms of trying to answer, big picture. We need to do a presentation and invite community members out to explain it. I'd rather move forward that way, because it's how you message things that is so critical. So I appreciate the question, but I want to reserve, let us pull together as a team, come up with a valid presentation. Simple, roof, anything with roofing, that's a priority. Anything with heat and HVAC, that's a priority. But I need to really break it down in the way that it needs to be, so that our individuals, just like to Mr. Brooks' point before around finance, there's some that may be in the field that easily would understand, but there's others that would not. So I need to make it where everyone could receive, no matter what their level of understanding is. So I think that's a great idea, but that will be a next step that we'll take on. And this is good, because this is, facilities and finances is one of our targets under our new strategic plan. So this is only pushing us to do the work that we've already identified as being the goal for the district. So we'll get on that, and that could be part of our next update when we come back for our next facility and finance. I'll let Mr. Swigert meet with his co-chairs. I'll let Mr. Holman meet with his co-chairs. They'll come up with what will make sense. And that could potentially drive or be part of our next presentation.
Yeah, that's ambitious, because I meant as part of that final plan, like a nice little graphic as part of that final plan. But it's, to your point, I think it get really confusing if we just come and say this is a specific project and this is why it's prioritized. Really, as part of this master plan.
I'm trying to get them to see the big picture.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we're on the same page.
Okay.
One more check from everyone. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Favor? All right, that concludes the meeting. Do we need